Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast Convos with Desiree. This is your host Desiree speaking. And if you're new here, welcome. And if you're watching the YouTube channel, then please subscribe. Anyway, so get into today's topic for today. Oh, by the way, if you're watching, the setup is going a little different. I'm trying something new. That's why it's a different setting. But anyway, the topic today is about wasting time. More specifically, not doing what you need to do to achieve your goals. Now, let me tell you how this came up. So, I am a notorious overthinker and I am a overplanner. So, I like to always try to plan everything to the T if I can, especially if it involves something long term like money or my time, which, it makes sense. But at the same time, it gets to a point where it's just like, gotta, do what you gotta do. And so I am someone who at times let her circumstances stop her from doing what she needs to do and not having faith everything will work out. Now, I will say, you gotta take that with a grain of salt. I'm not saying you should like go do something, being impatient and then dig yourself in a hole you can't get out of. Ever At least in my experience, there have been times where I don't do all what I could do in order to get my situation better because I feel like it's too hard, it's not worth it, or it's gonna make things worse. And to give you more a specific example of what brought this on. So recently I have been trying to go back to college to finish my degree because if you guys don't know, I only have a year left before finishing my degree. I want to say at this point, not like 4 years ago. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. 4 or 5 years ago. That can be a whole different story for another day. But basically, I thought I could start like September, but and I thought I could start because I thought I could accumulate the money I needed to pay off what I needed to pay off in order to continue schooling. But something came up and it turns out I will not be able to accumulate the money I need to get in order to finish your schooling, at least not now. Now, that doesn't mean I can't go back next semester or, just other options. I'm still looking into that. I'm still doing the research of that. But, long story short, I thought I could accumulate this certain amount to pay off so I can continue. And then my plan did not end up working out the way it could. So now I'm stuck with trying to figure out plan B, you know what I'm saying? And it's just disheartening, especially when, at least for me personally, my life has been on a repeat cycle for 4 years. I am stuck in a hamster wheel, it seems like, for 4 years. Like let me give you a little description. I am at this place in my life because I like this. I like this because I like this. And I like this because of the place I am in my life. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like a constant circle that I have been trying to get out of for 4 years. And I thought I could, but nothing is changing. I have tried different things, but nothing seems to be changing. I am constantly in this hamster wheel and I always wonder, am I going to get off it? Now, I've prayed about this, I fasted about this, I talked to the Lord about this, and it just seems, at least at this point in time, at least in my perspective, nothing seems to be changing, at least in front of my eyes. Now, the Lord could be doing something in the background that I'm not seeing just yet because He does do that. So my faith is still in His plan. But I am a firm believer in faith without works is dead. So if I want to get to a certain place, I have to put in the faith and the work to get there. So I would say this, like one of my goals is to leave my hometown because, to be quite frank, I don't see growth in this hometown no more. I've been here my entire life. I have lived in the same 20-mile radius my entire 26 years of being here, minus when I went to college, so it's just nothing new for me. I see the people I went to elementary school with sometimes at the store. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it's just like to some point, it gets like, is that it? Is that all the people I get to see? Like I know there's so much more for me out there, but I'm just letting I don't want to say I am letting, but it is like low key, I am letting this one thing stop my whole life because it is kind of hard to progress for the life I want when I'm stuck in the situation I'm in. Don't want to get into too much detail about it. Basically, if you want to move, you gotta have the money. And if you want to have the money, you gotta change your job to get the money. And in order to change your job, sometimes you don't have to go back to school. Now, I know school is controversial. Having a degree does not mean anything in some industries, at least these days. And I totally agree with that. I feel like college has been a scam for most of our lives, especially when the same stuff I learned in college, I learned in YouTube video for free. You're telling me I am in K of debt for half the stuff I could have been on YouTube for? I accumulate all this debt for something a YouTube video could have taught me, or I went into debt for someone on Instagram could have taught me for just a couple of $1,000 in a 6-week course. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say college is totally useless because I will say it does expand your world. And there is still stuff I feel like college can still teach us that we can't learn on the internet per se. But for the most part, at least in my experience, if a teacher is just, giving you slides and you copy it down and they don't expand on it, for me that's a waste. At the same time, the jobs I want require this degree, even though it doesn't mean nothing in my opinion. That's why I'm trying to go back and get it. I don't feel like I need it because I can prove I can know what needs to be done. However, it's on plenty of job descriptions still to have a bachelor's. It could be cheese making. It's just the fact that I don't have that piece of paper. So that's the loop I'm in. I've also explored different career options too. But the other career option I'm looking at, again, that doesn't guarantee a better lifestyle and it could be worse, We'll see. But my point is, we cannot let our circumstances continue to let us down. I am 26, about to be 27 in a little under 2 months. So this has just really brought to my attention that my life, I don't want to say it hasn't changed a lot, but it really has not changed a lot since I had started school, so let's say 23, 22. It has not changed a lot. The only difference is I'm in a new location, like, apartment wise, and I am in a different job. That's it. It's the same type of job I was doing 4 years ago, so it's different job location. But besides that, nothing else has changed. Meanwhile, don't compare, but meanwhile, other people's lives have changed drastically. And I'm not trying to compare, but it's really, really hard. But honestly, even if I didn't have other people around me to so called compare myself to, you can look at the facts. If you do a life audit of every year, at least for specifically my life, what majorly has changed? What? My mother passed away, unfortunately, 2 years ago. I got into a trade. I don't like it, but I got into a trade, I guess. But it still doesn't make me. It doesn't help me with the lifestyle I want to make. Besides that, nothing else has really changed. What, my looks maybe, but like nothing substantial has changed. Nothing. I always want to say I want to move, but it's just like, girl, why aren't you moving? I'm waiting for perfect timing. Girl, be so freaking for real. No, you're not. You're procrastinating. And if you are waiting for a perfect time, why don't you plan? Why don't you plan to do the thing you want to do. Like, I'm on her saying, like, oh, I don't have the money. Oh, there's no point in moving if I'm just gonna move somewhere else eventually. Be so for real. Be so for real with yourself. I'm talking to myself too. What are you waiting for? I'm not saying I need to be in a situation where I can't get out of, especially if I'm in a location where I can't get to my family if I need something. But it's just like, at some point, when are we just going to take the step? Where can I just start with what I have? Okay, with my job specifically, I'm a phlebotomist if you didn't know. I can go kind of anywhere with my job. Like, there will always be people needing phlebotomists no matter where I go. Granted, I don't want to just go to one job to another that I don't like in a city and then just to move out per se. But at the same time, it's just like, okay, Desiree, like, obviously at this point in time, you're not gonna get out of this position. So what can you do to change it? You can't change your job right now? Cool. You can change at least where you are doing that job. Okay. You can change the environment, at least another location. Well, not in Dayton, Ohio, but like, I can change cities with this job if I really wanted to. Granted, still gotta save. But at some point, when is it gonna be enough? I keep telling myself, when I have this, I'll move. When I have this, I'll move. Obviously, what you have is what you have. Let me say that again. What you have is what you have. You're not going to keep accumulating to a point where you feel comfortable. Like, I keep telling myself, if I save 10K and if I get a new job in a different city, then I can move. Girl, you've been saying that for 2 years. I've been saying that for 2 years. If I save this and if I get this, I'll move. Or, Desiree, why don't you either A, just focus on getting a job there, or save the money? Why does it have to be both? Now, granted, I do say both for security, and that's low-key my issue. I like to have backup plans, and that's a good thing to a point. That's a good thing to a point. Guys, when I tell you I've been thinking about this for years of just not growing the way I wanted to. I don't want to tell you guys my full goals because I don't want to come back on here and say, this is why this didn't work out. But I am so close to just saying, you know what? At this point in time, if I don't have what I so-called need to have to make the big step to whatever I want to do, I'm still going to do it. And that just brings me to my next point. Start with what you have. So another story I want to say, or not story, another example I wanted to give is with my other past businesses. So when I was in college, I started a hair business. Didn't work out, but I started with what I had. So, this is like, I want to say 2019, I started it, where I want to do a wig business where I just wanted to, customize and sew wigs. And, if you guys didn't know, buying wigs wholesale as a broke college student is still a lot of money. Like, I remember spending wholesale price, Alibaba, maybe like $200 long wig. And while that is still cheap, think of it, part-time, broke college student. But I did that so I can practice my skill multiple times and also to eventually make content pictures. Because trust me, there were other people at the time wanted to do this more than now. And they bought like 10 different wigs all at once, and they made all this content all at once, and they got to start so much fashion I did. And, I couldn't do that. I'm so sorry. I could not do that. I did not have the resources to get that done. So I just had to take my little check I had in college. I worked a part-time job. I didn't have no bills really, but still, when you're working part-time at $9 an hour, what do you think you're gonna make? You know what I'm saying? So I saw what I had basically. I kept trying. I didn't wait for the perfect time to start. That's what I'm trying to say. I didn't wait for the perfect time to start. Like, be so for real with yourself. You're procrastinating. You're kind of being lazy to a point. Like, stop overthinking stuff. And it's just so hard for me to say that because I have this mentality with my business ideas I have, but when it comes to real life, that's where I'm just like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, we can't do this right now. Like, we need to chill out just for a brief moment, Desiree. But then part of me is just like, when are you gonna start chilling out? When are you gonna start actually doing what you say you're gonna do without being held back by the what ifs and whatnots? Another thing is with this podcast, I didn't have, you know, like I didn't have this mic when I first started. If you guys go back to the first season of episodes, it was on my laptop and no microphone, blurry laptop, microphone. And I figured out a way where I don't know why it took me this long. I did it on my phone. It has to be shorter content now. I'm doing it on my phone. I bought a microphone, not the best quality, but I still bought a microphone. And I figured out a new setting I'm trying to figure out. There's other different things that I'm trying because I had a little more resources to do for the podcast now that I didn't have before. But my point is, I started with what I had. 'Cause I didn't want to keep sitting on the idea. I prayed about it. I talked to God about it, and at the end of the day, God confirmed to me. He put it in my heart for a reason. And so I went for it. So I started this in January. And now it's August. Took a little break in between. But I've been doing this I've been doing this since the beginning of the year, basically. If you are an OG follower, then you will know the growth that we've had on this channel. It may not be much. I'm not gonna hold you. It may not be much, but it's better than nothing. And that goes for both Spotify and Apple. You know what? To be honest, my Apple podcast listeners are way more than my YouTube or Spotify listeners. That may be a sign that YouTube ain't it for me. We'll see. You guys got to like, subscribe, and comment to continue to see me. But anyway, um, we can't keep waiting for things to happen in our favor without putting in the work. I want to say, I don't want to butcher the scripture, but I want to say in Ecclesiastes, it says somewhere, if you watch the wind, then you'll never plan. I don't know. I gotta look that up. I don't want to butcher it, but if you read Ecclesiastes, you know what I'm talking about. But I am not a fan of the whole sit and pray and not do nothing. I'm just not a fan of that. Unless God said to do that specifically, that's different. But there are people out there that just sit there and hope for the best. And I'm like, girl or boy, are you not gonna put in the effort to do what you want to do? And I put my problem is I put an effort, but I let certain circumstances stop me even when I do put an effort, and I need to stop. Again, I need, consult with God about my decisions, and overall, I need to see if He confirms what I'm feeling. Feeling, because, feelings confuse us. That's just a different topic for another day. But I need God to confirm what's on my heart. I need His steps, I need Him to guide me in my next steps. So, with that being said, I'm just going to say like this. And I want to say within 6 months, something is going to change something in my life. I'm not going to say what because I want to keep that between me and God. But I am just tired of waiting. I want to prepare, but I'm tired of waiting. I'm not going to sit here and just hope and wish I could do this, I could be this, because honestly, look what has got me. I'm not saying I have a bad life, don't get me wrong. I feel like for what I'm doing, I feel like my life is not the best. I mean, it's not the worst. It's not the worst. I have a roof over my head. I have a loving family. I live with my dad. I have a loving father, a good brother. I have a good support system, good friends. My job is easy. It's just I don't like it. It's just the schedule. Whoa, child. I work a different schedule every day. Tell me you can't have a routine. Tell me. Talk to me about non-routine. Okay? Different topic for another day. But tell me about not having structure. Because I am the poster child for not having structure with this job. Okay? Something is changing. I don't want to say what. I don't want to so-called jinx it. If you believe in that, I don't. Not everyone needs to know what is going to go on specifically. But I just know something has to change. And I want you guys to look back at this episode and think about what could you be doing better? If you don't like where you are, what could you be doing better? Could you save more? Could you go back to school if you feel like that would help you? If you don't like your body, could you start meal prepping, go to the gym? If you don't like your job, could you possibly relocate, go to a different location or a different field maybe? You don't like your house? Can you find a way to move? Maybe not right now. Could you find a way to move? It's just stuff like that. You don't like your friend group? Your friend group doesn't treat you right? Can you make more friends? You don't like your church? Can you go try a different church maybe instead of, being stuck in your ways? So I'm just saying, a lot of people want to complain, but then like when you give them a solution, they don't want to take it. Some people like being pitied. And I don't get that. Some people like being woe is me. And I'm just like, why would I want to be woe is me? Because that means I don't like my life. I don't get that. That's a little weird to me, but we all have our issues and struggles. Like I'm going down that rabbit hole, but please do not be a woe is me type of person. Especially if you're my age, 26, 27, 20s in general. We have so much time to so-called fix our lives or to change the direction of our lives. Even young 30s, even 30s in general, I feel like, actually, let me take it back. 20s and 30s, we have the most time to redirect our lives. Now, if you have kids or if you're married, that's a bit different. I don't tell you about that. It's still possible, but I'm not the person to tell you how because I'm not married and I don't have kids, so I can't help with that. But I do know we had the more flexibility in even early 30s. And this older people had told me too, why they have changed their lives later on in life. It is harder. And these are people telling me that had kids and a husband and are still just single with no kids telling me it's hard either way it goes the longer you wait in your life to change where you want to go. It's still possible, but they told me it's harder. And I can see why, also looking at I can see why. But the major takeaway I want you to get from this episode is stop waiting for the right opportunity. There would never be a right opportunity. Why are we waiting so much? That is just so weird to me. Now I'm thinking about it. Why are we waiting so much? We don't have as much time as we think. Stop waiting. Go get the job. Go get the girl or the man. No, actually, ladies, don't get the man. He's gonna see you. Man, go get the woman. Travel if you can. That's why I want to travel. Trust me, when I get my stuff together, I'm gonna travel. Okay, go to a different city. Go to a different state. And it's just, guys. When I tell you, things are gonna change, and I'm not. I'm not. I'm only gonna speak on it when it actually happens. But I'm telling you. 6 months, I'm gonna come back on this podcast and tell you what changed. You're gonna be like, good for you, Desiree. And I want to hear about what you're gonna change too. Wait, what are you gonna change? What are you gonna change? Think of something small. You don't like your wardrobe? Go change it. Simple. Okay. But anyway, that's just me for today. That's one little gap session for today about stop wasting time. Go do what you want to do, basically. Sorry for the upload too. My throat has been like hurting this past week. So But I didn't want to go a whole week without giving you guys another episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. But that is the end of the episode with Convos with Desiree. And if this is YouTube, please like and subscribe and comment. If this is Spotify and Apple Podcasts you're listening to, please leave a comment, leave a review, and leave a like also. And please share with your friends and family. Share with to whoever, basically, interested. My socials are Convos with Desiree, both on TikTok and IG. And with that being said, I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I'll talk to you next week.